What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker, and welcome back to the channel. On this episode of Living in SC, we're going to be talking about the 10 things I wish I had known before moving to Greenville, South Carolina. Now, I've been living in and around Greenville for the last 11 years, and this list is some of those things that I wish I would have known before I moved here. But before we get into it, if you are thinking about making a move to the area, shoot us an email at info@livinginsc.com, as we would love to help you with your move to the area. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing I wish I had known before I moved to the area was how easy it is to get from one end of the upstate to the other, whether you're on the east, the west, the south side of town. It really is pretty easy to get in and around Greenville. But what I really wish I had known about that is how contingent it is on living close to a major highway. Now, in the upstate of South Carolina, there are two major highways that really run in and around Greenville, and that's I-85, which connects Charlotte down to Atlanta, and then that's 385, which runs up kind of from Columbia into the downtown of Greenville. Now, if you don't live close to one of these major highways, getting around the upstate actually can be a lot harder. For example, if you live far north above Greenville in the northern parts of Travelers Rest or Greer, you may find it rather difficult to get from one part of the upstate to another part. But if you live in Spartanburg, Anderson, Simpsonville, close to one of those interstate highways, getting in and around the upstate is a lot easier. And if I had known that from the start, maybe I wouldn't have spent so much time living away from the interstate when I first moved here. Number 2 on my list is I wish I had known how much of a foodie town Greenville actually is. Now, according to Money Magazine in 2021, Greenville actually has the most restaurants per capita of any city in the United States, coming in at 750 restaurants per 70,000 people. That is just an astronomical number of restaurants. That's more than 1 per 100 people. Greenville absolutely loves their food. And if I'd have known that, I would have moved here with a much bigger appetite, because I am a foodie and I love eating out and eating around. And even though I've been here for over 11 years, I still haven't been able to make it to all of the restaurants that Greenville has to offer. The number 3 thing that I wish I had known about Greenville, and maybe my favorite thing that I've found out since moving here, are the festivals that Greenville has to offer. Now, there are plenty more that I'll mention right here, but my 3 favorites are Fall for Greenville, Artisphere, and Euphoria. And cool story, Euphoria, back in the day, I used to work in restaurants. I worked at a little restaurant called The Lazy Goat. And at that time, we actually hosted a 3-star Michelin chef, Mr. Curtis Duffy. He's now a 2-star chef. I'm sure that eats at him a little bit, but he actually came in during Euphoria, cooked a 3-star Michelin dinner for people that bought tickets, and I actually got to work that event in the Lazy Goat. A super cool experience for me, because how many people can say that they have served a 3-star Michelin dinner? So that's a pretty cool thing for me. But these festivals are so awesome. If you're in Greenville and you move here, you have to check them out. They're absolutely amazing. Coming in at number 4, I wish I had known how great the downtown of Greenville is. Now, I had heard about it, people talk about it, but there's really no way to explain to someone how awesome it is until they experience it for themselves. I travel quite a bit, and me and my wife, when we do, we talk about how no matter where we go in the United States, we just can't find a downtown that has the same charm and feel of downtown Greenville. 2 of my favorite spots in downtown Greenville, first and foremost, is Falls Park. It's probably the park that you've heard of that is in downtown. The river, the Reedy River, just flows right through that park. with the Liberty Bridge that goes over it. It's absolutely stunning and is the centerpiece really of the downtown. And then my other favorite thing is Fluor Field. It's like a little mini Fenway Park. It's got the green monster. Greenville has recently finished some renovations to the exterior, having a nice open air walkable space just outside the first base line there. So it is a super, super cool place, especially if you're a baseball fan. The downtown of Greenville is just hard to beat, and I wish I had known how great it really was before I moved here. Coming in at number 5 is the outdoor recreation. Before moving here, I had absolutely no idea the amount of outdoor recreation that Greenville has to offer. In fact, over 50% of Greenville residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park. So Greenville's Park and Rec department does a phenomenal job, or has done a phenomenal job, of building parks that are walkable for the residents. And even if you can't walk to one of these parks, they have ample parking and just a great ability to be able to go out, have a bike ride, a run, or sign your kids up for their softball, t-ball, soccer lessons, whatever it is. The city has done a great job with their outdoor rec. The 6th thing that I wish I had known before moving here is how easy it is to vacation to both the mountains and the beach. Now, obviously, if I was looking at a map, I should have been aware of this, or it should have been obvious to me, but I guess I just wasn't thinking that much of it. But Greenville is phenomenal when you're looking at taking vacations. It's only about an hour and a half up to Asheville and the Appalachian Mountains, and it's only 3.5 hours down to Charleston, to the beaches. So wherever you want a vacation, you can get almost to any sort of climate with relative ease. I absolutely love that about Greenville, and in all truth, it is actually something that's pretty hard to find here on the East Coast. Most of the time it's the West Coast people that can brag about the beach and the mountains, but here in Greenville, we can brag about it too. Number 7 on my list of things I wish I had known about before I moved to Greenville is the Greenville Farmers Market. Now, every Saturday from spring to fall, Greenville actually shuts down their main street for their Saturday morning farmers market. It's a super cool thing to do, especially if you love getting some fresh food, fresh meats, that sort of thing. The farmers market is an awesome thing that Greenville does, and it's super cool to go hang out, whether you're just by yourself with your family or some friends. You'll absolutely love the Saturday morning farmers market in Greenville. Number 8 on my list of things I wish I'd known is how much Greenville is actually growing. Now, to some people, this might be a little bit of a deterrent, and that's okay. But in 2021, one of the most remarkable stats that I've seen as a real estate agent when I'm looking at different things online is that 65% of home purchases in 2021 in Greenville County were made by out-of-state buyers. Now, of course, that number does include like out-of-state investors, but it also includes out-of-state people that are moving and relocating to the area, which is just an astronomical number. But it's a super cool thing for us to see the economy grow, the jobs market flourish, and the amount of people that are looking to move here. We expect for that trend to continue, as Greenville is a super special place and people can't find anywhere else like it in the United States. Now, number 9 on my list could have been number 1 on my list, and it's the weather. The weather in Greenville, South Carolina is absolutely amazing. Now, I grew up only about 2 hours away in Columbia, South Carolina, and it never really dawned on me how great the weather in Greenville actually was. I assumed living about 2 hours away, it would be pretty similar, and boy, was I wrong. Greenville is one of these places where you do get to experience all 4 seasons, but in the winter, you don't have the crazy amounts of snow, which is a super thing when you think about having to drive, get to school, get to work. You can actually continue your day-to-day lives without having to worry about these massive snowstorms that could disrupt that. But the one thing I will say about the weather, in the summer, if you're moving from somewhere a little cooler in the north or maybe out west, the summers can get pretty hot and pretty sticky. Our humidity levels here are crazy high, but Greenville is not nearly as hot as Columbia is. In fact, on average, Greenville runs about 8 to 10 degrees cooler on your summer days. But with that humidity and the low 90 temps that we see during summer, it can be a little hot, but that's really the only negative that we have in our weather. Now, my 10th and final thing that I wish I had known before I moved here is how many Clemson fans live in the upstate. As a South Carolina Gamecock fan living in Columbia, I had no idea that I was gonna be surrounded by so much orange or purple. In fact, if I had known it, it's maybe the one thing that would have kept me from moving here. Because Clemson fans, let me tell you, they're obnoxious. All they talk about is how great their football team is. It's a little ridiculous, but I will tell you this. It's about the only bad thing about living up here. So if you can get over the fact that there's a lot of Clemson fans, or if you just don't care that much about football, you're gonna be totally fine in Greenville, South Carolina. We would love to have you here if you're thinking about moving here. Now, once again, my name is Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to watch some of our other videos, hit that subscribe button, and remember, if you're thinking about moving to the area, shoot us an email at info@livinginsc.com. We'll see you next time.